look at the audience, see the reaction, and know that they're wanting me to hit every note just like they heard it on that record.
Mark Farner's name is inseparable from the rise of Grand Funk Railroad, a band that carved out a unique space in rock history with its unrelenting energy, working-class appeal, and unpretentious musicianship. As the group's frontman, Farner not only delivered powerhouse vocals, but also laid down some of the most recognizable guitar work of the era. His approach to the instrument was never about complexity for its own sake. Instead, he prioritized feel, raw emotion, and a direct connection with the audience. Over the years, he has spoken about the guitarists who inspired him, offering insight into the players who shaped his musical identity. Jimi Hendrix stands out as one of the most profound influences. Farner has spoken with deep admiration about Hendrix's playing, not just in terms of technique, but also in the way he connected with his audience. Jimi had something that couldn't be copied, he once said. It wasn't just what he played, it was what he made you feel. This connection between musician and listener is something Farner has always valued in his own performances. Watching Hendrix live was a moment that stuck with him. When I saw Jimi, I didn't just hear a great guitar player, I witnessed something spiritual, he reflected. He made you believe every note mattered.
We used to call this one Red Funk. It was your second album. You can see this guitar. This is a Messenger, is that correct?
That is a Messenger.
Hold that up so we can see. I don't know if you... Tell us.
See that little switch down there?
Uh-huh.
That turned on the Jimi Hendrix fuzz tone. It was built right into the guitar. And when I did a lead, I just reached back and flip it. And when I was done, I'd flip it off.
That belief in the power of individual notes, in the way a simple phrase can carry more weight than a flurry of technical skill, runs through much of Farner's own playing. He never chased virtuosity for its own sake. Instead, he sought to create music that resonated with people in a direct, emotional way. Hendrix's influence is clear in the way Farner approached guitar solos, not overly calculated, but always bursting with energy and passion. Jeff Beck is another guitarist Farner has acknowledged as an inspiration. Known for his extraordinary control and ability to shift between styles effortlessly, Beck was a player who seemed to operate on instinct. Beck was a guy who could make you shake your head and laugh because what he did shouldn't have been possible, Farner said, and yet he made it sound effortless. Beck's ability to blend blues, rock, and jazz into something uniquely his own set him apart from his peers. While Farner's playing leaned more towards straightforward rock and blues, there was a shared appreciation for spontaneity. "You have to let the music breathe," Farner once explained. "That's something I learned from players like Beck. You don't have to fill every moment. Sometimes what you leave out is just as important." That philosophy extended into Grand Funk Railroad's performances, where Farner's playing wasn't about overwhelming the audience with technicality, but rather about creating a visceral experience. The band's live shows were known for their raw power, and much of that came from Farner's ability to communicate directly through his guitar. "It's all about what you're giving to the people," he said. "If they don't feel it, you're doing it wrong." Eric Clapton's influence is less frequently discussed in connection with Farner, but there are clear parallels in their playing. Both musicians came up through a deep appreciation for the blues, and both understood that the genre was about more than just musical structure. It was about honesty. "Blues is the foundation," Farner has said. "You can dress it up however you want, but if you don't feel it, you're just going through the motions." Clapton's playing, particularly in his early years with John Mayall and Cream, was defined by an ability to tap into that emotional depth. Farner, while stylistically different, has always approached the guitar with a similar mindset. It's never been about impressing other musicians, it's been about reaching the listener. Rick Derringer's connection to Farner is rooted in a shared time period and a mutual understanding of rock's power. Derringer, who came up in the 1960s with the McCoys before launching a successful solo career, was known for his fiery, blues-infused playing. While Farner hasn't often singled him out as a direct influence, their paths and styles align in ways that suggest mutual respect. Both musicians built their reputations on live energy, with a focus on hard-hitting riffs and anthemic choruses. "Rock and roll is meant to be felt in your gut," Farner once said. "It's supposed to move you." Derringer's approach reflected that same philosophy. Ronnie Earl is the least documented connection, but his blues-heavy style fits within the framework of what Farner has always valued in a guitarist. Earl is known for his expressive touch and ability to let notes breathe, qualities that align with Farner's own playing ethos. "You don't have to play a million notes to say something powerful," Farner has explained. "You just have to mean what you play." Earl's career has been defined by an emphasis on emotion over speed, a mindset that Farner has also championed. Throughout his career, Farner has maintained a respect for musicians who play with authenticity. His influences, while varied, all share that common thread. Whether it's Hendrix's spiritual connection to the guitar, Beck's instinctive brilliance, Clapton's blues-rooted depth, Derringer's rock and roll energy, or Earl's expressive phrasing, each player represents an approach that values substance over excess. Farner's own playing has often been overlooked in discussions of great rock guitarists, but those who have truly listened understand his impact. Grand Funk Railroad may have been known for its stripped-down, high-energy sound, but there was an artistry in what Farner brought to the band. His solos weren't about technical prowess, they were about telling a story. His rhythm playing was tight and unrelenting, forming the backbone of the band's powerful sound.
Ice cold water running through my veins, you know they try and drag me back to work again.
His stage presence wasn't about theatrics, it was about sincerity. One of the reasons Farner resonated so deeply with audiences was that he never played from a place of ego. His guitar work was always in service of the song, not the other way around. "It's never been about showing off," he said. "It's about giving people something real." That mindset is what has kept his music relevant decades after its peak. While some players get caught up in technique and trends, Farner's focus has always been on connection. Even as the landscape of rock shifted, Farner remained steadfast in his approach.
Mark Farner from Grand Funk Railroad. He's the brains behind the whole outfit. The song you're going to do today, I'm Your Captain, you wrote that and you get the writing credit for that, right?
Absolutely.
Well, thank God.
So you do get the checks for that one.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to shut up and let you guys do I'm Your Captain, going back quite a few years. When did you write this song?
1971.
1971. I'm Your Captain.
Or was it 70?
Doesn't matter.
It don't matter.
All right.
His solo work continued to reflect his core values: music that speaks to people, music that comes from the soul. The industry changed and styles evolved, but his philosophy remained the same. "Trends come and go," he once said, "but honesty in music never gets old." That belief is what ties him to the greats he admires. Hendrix, Beck, Clapton, Derringer, Earl, each of them represents an approach to guitar that transcends technical ability. They are players who understood that the guitar is not just an instrument but a voice, capable of expressing things that words cannot. Farner's legacy, much like theirs, is built on that understanding. It's easy to get caught up in rankings and debates over who the greatest guitarists of all time are, but Farner has never been concerned with such discussions. His focus has always been on making music that matters to the people who listen to it. Whether through the anthemic power of Grand Funk Railroad's biggest hits, or the soulful energy of his solo material, he has stayed true to his roots. His playing may not always be dissected in the same way as some of his peers, but that doesn't diminish its significance. The measure of a great guitarist isn't in how many notes they can play per second, or how complex their compositions are. It's in the emotion they can convey, the impact they can have on an audience. By that measure, Mark Farner stands alongside the very best.